They called it ugly. NASCAR called it unfair. But this beast didn't just break records, it obliterated them. Meet the Dodge Charger Daytona, the car that was so fast they had to change the rules just to stop it. The Daytona's journey started with an instruction from Bob McCurry, Dodge's vice president at the time. Frustrated with the poor performance of Dodge's racing fleet, he made it clear that winning had to be prioritized over aesthetics. The previous model, the Dodge Charger 500, was unable to deliver the competitive edge needed against rivals like the Ford Torino Talladega and Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 2, mostly because the 500 still suffered from aerodynamic shortcomings, especially at high speeds on NASCAR's speedways. So McCurry had given a simple order: I don't care how it looks, just make it fast. To make the Daytona more aerodynamic, the engineers had to make several changes to the body of the vehicle, including the addition of an 18-inch nose cone that extended the front of the car, reducing air resistance and providing better airflow over the vehicle. At the rear, a massive 23.5-inch wing was mounted, but it was not well received by the public and was heavily criticized. But this rear wing wasn't just for show. It created more downforce, ensuring better tire traction at high speeds. Taking a closer look, a less noticeable but important modification was the 22-degree backlight slope, which also performed the same function of aerodynamics. To ensure that no mistakes were made, the engineers had to develop wind tunnel testing during the development process to simulate real-world racing conditions to check the car's behavior at different speeds. If you were familiar with NASCAR, you would know that speed isn't just about the car's performance on the track. It's about meeting the organization's strict rules and regulations. One of the most important requirements for any car hoping to race in NASCAR was a homologation rule. In simple terms, this rule stated that manufacturers had to produce a certain number of street-legal models of their racing vehicles for them to be eligible for competition. For the Dodge Charger Daytona, this meant that in order to race in the 1969 NASCAR season, Dodge had to build and sell 500 street versions of the Daytona. But these regulations caused significant logistical and manufacturing challenges for Dodge. At the time of the homologation requirement, Ford's Talladega and Mercury's Cyclone Spoiler 2 had already taken over the circuit, and both brands had vehicles with aerodynamic features designed to enhance speed and reduce drag, putting pressure on Dodge to keep up. If you have been enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. Now let's move on. During the initial test at Michigan, the Charger Daytona achieved speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour, which was pretty impressive at the time because the 200-mile-an-hour mark seemed almost impossible for race cars. But Buddy Baker, a NASCAR driver, completely destroyed this record in 1970 during his run at the Chelsea Proving Grounds, reaching an astonishing 235 miles an hour on the track. But this speed was not officially recognized. Just when Dodge thought they had seen it all, Charlie Glotzbach broke the record that same year while testing on the Talladega Speedway, reaching speeds of 243 miles an hour. When the Dodge Charger Daytona was first introduced, the early reviews could be summarized into one dismissive question: who would want to buy such an ugly boat? But this vehicle proved itself in many races, with one of the most significant victories at 1969 at Talladega. This race was especially controversial because of a driver boycott that had been caused by concerns over tire safety. The drivers, worried about the tire's ability to withstand the high speeds they were reaching, refused to race until assurances were made. But maybe the most memorable achievement for the Charger Daytona came in 1970, when Bobby Isaac won the NASCAR championship with a season of 11 wins and 13 pole positions, making it one of the most impressive seasons in NASCAR history. The Daytona's modifications, which were a huge advantage in terms of aerodynamics, started to get criticized after a while because the critics believed that these modifications gave the car an unfair advantage on the track. Eventually, these discussions led to an introduction of regulations designed to level the playing field, and by the mid-1970s, NASCAR moved to restrict the use of such aerodynamic modifications, marking the end of the Daytona's era of dominance. After its racing career in NASCAR, the Daytona had more opportunities to prove itself at the Bonneville Salt Flats. In 1971, Bobby Isaac pushed the Charger Daytona to a remarkable 216 miles an hour, and over the course of several runs, the car set 28 additional land speed records. But in order to comply with the regulations of the United States Auto Club and ensure the car was eligible for these record-setting runs, some modifications had to be made to the Daytona. One of the key modifications made to the vehicle was the lowering of the front torsion bars to improve the car's handling at high speeds, giving it the stability needed to stay in control on the salt flats during its runs. Also, the 426 Hemi engine was modified, providing the necessary horsepower to achieve such impressive speeds. The production of the Charger Daytona was not limited to a single configuration, but there were many special factory configurations. One of the configurations was the T5 copper metallic paint, which, when combined with white interior, gave the vehicle a very distinctive look. Beyond performance, another iconic feature of the Daytona were the sleek Magnum 500 wheels. Also, the rear-facing fender scoops became the main symbol of the Daytona because they also served an aerodynamic function, providing extra cooling for the rear brakes. Beyond the racetracks, the Charger Daytona became a legend in street racing culture. Big Willie Robinson, a well-known figure in the world of street racing, got involved with the Charger Daytona through his use of a Keith Black-powered version, which made the car more respected on the streets. The Charger Daytona's influence in car culture and history has not gone unnoticed in the world of museums either. The Walter P. Chrysler Museum, known for housing some of the most significant vehicles in automotive history, includes the Charger Daytona in its collection. The car's inclusion is highlighted by a cheeky tagline, "Not a good place to visit if you're about to undergo a midlife crisis." The Charger Daytona's status as a cultural icon was further solidified when it was featured on a U.S. postage stamp in the commemorative series titled Muscle Cars Forever. This stamp paid tribute to the muscle car era, with the Charger Daytona representing one of the most classic examples of American performance engineering. Whether admired for its groundbreaking performance, its daring design, or the unforgettable stories surrounding its time on the racetrack, the Charger Daytona remains a symbol of American automotive greatness and a beloved icon that continues to captivate the world. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.